What's going on, guys? It's Greg here. Just wanted to do a video about SHTF and something that every prepper should keep in the back of their mind, and that's not trusting the government after an SHTF situation, WROL, or grid down event. So why don't you want to trust the government? So basically, the government is not always going to do what's in the best interests of the people and it's hard for a lot of people to understand that, but the government is not necessarily always going to tell the truth about what's going on in a specific situation. So you have to always take anything that the government says, or the military, or local officials, local authorities, your local police departments, your local news outlets, whatever. You should always take everything that they say and kind of analyze it on your own and use your own critical thinking, especially after an SHTF event, grid down situation, or especially like a serious SHTF event or a long-term grid down event. The government and the military and local authorities, they don't always tell the 100% truth about what's going on, and they may withhold information on purpose to prevent panicking, from people from panicking and from panic spreading across an area. So you just have to keep that in the back of your mind. And it's not to say that the government is bad, or your local authorities are bad. They're obviously, many of them are trying to help people. That's what their job is. This video is not meant to stir up some kind of anti-government sentiment, or anything like that, or any kind of anti-authority sentiment. That's not the goal of this video. The goal of the video is just to let you guys know that, and to kind of always keep in the back of your head that you should always be a little bit skeptical about what any kind of official is telling you, whether it's the president, whether it's your local sheriff, your your state governor, your town supervisor, your county supervisor, whatever the official is, whether it's FEMA, Department of Homeland Security, any of these government bodies. You should always take it with a grain of salt, and always filter through the information on your own, and do your own research and come up with your own conclusions. Don't just take what they say at face value, because the government and the military are not always in the interest of protecting you. Their goal is many times to protect, the integrity of the country, and, protecting protecting people from panicking, and, containing threats, especially if it's like a pandemic. If, let's say, there's some type of virus or pandemic situation, or biological warfare agent, the government is not going to always tell you the truth, because they don't want everybody to know that there's some kind of pandemic going on. And so because they don't want people to start, fleeing, let's say, a specific area, or fleeing a city, and then they're going to spread the virus or bacteria, whatever. They're going to spread it all around, outside of the area. So you should always keep that in the back of your mind. The government is always going to try to control the panic. They don't want people to always know the full truth. They're just gonna kind of make up a story, or they're gonna give you partial truths. They're not always gonna tell you what they tell you is not always gonna be 100% accurate. So you should always understand that. If you're one of those types of people that thinks that the government always tells the truth, and the military always tells the truth, and your local authorities are always 100% honest, then you're not living in the real world, and you need to read some history, and understand that the government, the military, local agencies, federal agencies, state agencies, they have lied in the past, and that's just the nature of the way it is. In certain situations, they can't tell 100% of the truth anyway, because it could affect, security. It could affect, uh, you know, public safety. So they're not going to release full information about what's going on. So like, same thing, like if there's, let's say, a potential terrorist attack, if let's say, the police department in a major city finds some kind of bombs or something, they're never going to say, oh yeah, this is terrorism, because they know people are going to go crazy and start panicking, and they're going to flee the city, and it's going to cause problems. They're not going to tell you that. They may keep it 100% secret, because they don't want that panic. They don't want, people to go crazy, and it's understandable to a certain degree, but the government and the military and, local agencies, they have their own agenda, and that agenda is not always to protect your safety and your family's safety. Their agenda might be preserving the government, continuity of government. That's their main agenda. Their agenda is to ensure that the government continues, that the rule of law continues, that national security is upheld. That the integrity of the United States territory is not compromised in some way. So that's what their main goal is. Their main goal is not to help every common citizen and every common person. Their goal is to always look at the big picture and try to prevent the most amount of damage to the country from a specific situation. And many times that involves sacrificing a smaller number of people, so this way the larger amount of people can survive. So like, I'll give you another example, like, going back to, it's Halloween this week, so, going back to like zombies, if, you guys been watching a lot of like zombie movies, or, The Walking Dead, let's do a scenario here. So let's say, like, in Los Angeles or New York City, a big metropolitan area, there's some type of a zombie virus outbreak, and there's people that start falling ill. The military in that situation, or the government, they're not going to start telling everybody that, this is a zombie virus, because they don't want people in that city to flee and spread the virus. And they may even actually wipe out the whole city with nukes, just to contain the spread of the disease. And, luckily we haven't seen that yet, for the government or the military to have to do something drastic like that. But in that situation, the authorities, the government, the military, local agencies, they're looking at the big picture. They understand that they may have to sacrifice the people in that city and lie to them and tell them that, there's nothing to worry about and everything is okay, in order to preserve the whole country. Because if everybody starts escaping from the city, if they tell the truth and say, yeah, you guys got to get out, there's this really bad virus, you're all going to get sick, they don't want that, because millions of people are going to flee the city, and it's going to spread all across the country eventually. So, and that causes a bigger problem. So they're not going to tell you the truth. They want to contain the situation. They want to contain that particular threat into that area, and that may involve lying to you. They may not tell you the truth. They may even straight up lie and tell you something totally different, just to make sure that, everything is under control, that the situation is contained. So you should always, if there's any kind of SHTF, power failure, grid down situation, any kind of terrorist attack, anything like that, you should always analyze it critically. Use your own common sense and your own judgment, and think critically. Don't just take what the government says at face value, because they're not always going to tell you the truth. And going to a more realistic scenario, we could say, like, let's say there was some type of an outbreak of Ebola virus or smallpox, or some type of very dangerous pandemic in a major city, some type of new strain of influenza, or whatever, these different kind of bugs that are out there, H1N1. If there's like some kind of virus like that or disease, they're not going to disclose the full information because they don't want people to start panicking and running around and spreading it more. And then if we think about terrorist attacks, it's the same thing. If they have information that a terrorist attack occurred, they may not tell you that. They may not even admit that this was a terrorist attack. They may just say that something else happened. It was the sewer blew up, from too much steam. Meanwhile, it was a bomb. And that's an easy way to cover it up. So this way, people continue on with their daily lives. They're not thinking about it. They're going to work. They don't realize that there was a bomb here. To them, all they know is that there was a steam explosion in the sewers that built up, because that happens all the time in most big cities, so that's just an example. So you should always kind of filter in your own head, have your own filter. Don't just take everything at face value. Don't be sheep. Don't just do what you're told. Always kind of think on your own, have your own brain. And same thing like with the terrorist attacks. They want to minimize the panic. They want to minimize the spread of fear. So they're gonna make up a story and try to downplay what happened, try to cover it up. And there's that old saying that if it looks like shit, if it smells like shit, then it's probably shit. If you feel inside of you that something's not right, and what you saw is not what the government is saying or what your local agencies are saying, then you should just listen to what you feel. Don't just ignore your gut feeling because somebody's telling you otherwise, because they may be trying to manipulate you. So you should always listen to your gut and listen to your own common sense. If something's not right and it seems like it's not right, then there's something is not right, and don't ignore that. And same thing, like if we look at historical examples, you can look at like Chernobyl. When the whole Chernobyl thing happened, the Russian government, lied to the workers, to the cleanup crew. These were like young Russian guys that were Russian troops, and they lied to them and told them that the radiation wasn't that bad, and that all they had to do was just go on the top of the roof of the plant and shovel off, all this radioactive stuff, and they'll just wear clothing and they'll be fine. But they weren't told the truth. The truth is that it was such a high level of radiation that within 1 or 2 seconds you were exposed to like a huge amount of radiation. But the government didn't tell them that. They lied, and there's a reason for that. They were manipulating them because they needed able-bodied men to shovel that radiation off the roof. And if they told them the truth, nobody would have done it. And they're not stupid. They know that. So the government, the military, local agencies, they have very smart people working for them, very educated people, and they know how to, plan and manipulate, and they know how to handle these types of situations. So you should be aware of that and kind of anticipate that. If there's any kind of situation in your local area, or it could be a national emergency, always kind of filter it through on your own and analyze it critically. So this way you don't end up getting the shorter end of the stick, and being manipulated and exposing yourself and your family to harm. So that's pretty much it. I just wanted to do that little video about this topic. I've mentioned this before in some of my other videos, but a lot of those videos are very old, so I don't think a lot of people even watch those. So I wanted to kind of restate this topic into its own separate video, so this way I kind of emphasize the importance of that, and because I really want to make sure that it's a very important thing in my opinion. So thanks a lot, guys, for watching my videos, and thanks for commenting, and I look forward to bringing you more content. All right, guys, take care. God bless.